All right, welcome back to the set of Thrive America, joined by mortgage originator and good friend Kal Wayman. Kal, thanks again for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
And we're going to jump right into your points here. The second point you make is combining work with play. What do you mean by that?
Well, we're all human. We don't just like to work. We all have things that we do outside of work for fun. Whatever it may be, there's something that you do outside of work to enjoy yourself. Maybe you go rock climbing, maybe you go golfing, maybe you go to the beach. Personally, I like to go out and socialize. I go to different restaurants or different bars, and I talk to people, and I meet and greet, and that's kind of how I network in a way that I get a lot of my business. And I always think to myself, how can I be doing revenue-generating activities at all times? Well, how can I be doing revenue-generating activities when I'm out at a restaurant or a bar? Well, actually, it's not as hard as you think. One thing that I did was I created matchbooks with my face, my name. It said, "Got mortgage, call Kal." Put my phone number on there. And relatively cheap. I got about 20,000 matchbooks for $500, okay? And I distributed them to all of my local bars and restaurants where I go hang out, because, hey, restaurants, they need matchbooks. If you go to a restaurant, chances are if they don't have their own matchbooks, there's maybe a cigarette or an alcohol sponsor on the matchbooks, or they're just blank matchbooks. Well, if you provide them with matchbooks, they're going to put them out for their clients. So I went ahead and did that, and every time I would go out, well, without me even having to say anything, people would come up to me, "Hey, you're that matchbook guy, you're the mortgage guy," And for 2 years, 20,000 matchbooks lasts a long time. For 2 years, everyone in the city of Atlanta, at least at the bars and restaurants that I went to, pointed me out, and I had never talked to them before in my life, and we're like, "You're the mortgage guy, you're on the matchbooks," So I found a way to go out and about and be recognized and create money, and I did get deals from those things. I was on their mind all the time, So whatever it is you do, you need to find a way to make money from it. You go to the beach, we'll create beach balls with your name on it, or you go golfing, maybe do a golfing event. You go rock climbing, those little clips that you can put on the rope. I don't even do rock climbing, but you know what I'm talking about. Those little clips, maybe you can get some of those made, engraved with your business on it, and hand them out to your friends that go with you. But just those little things. And by combining your work with play, what are you essentially doing? You're working 24 hours a day without feeling like you're working 24 hours a day. And the more that you work, the more business you're going to get. And if you can work without feeling like you're working, well, isn't that kind of the goal? So that's what I mean by combining work with play.
I think that's just brilliant, because too many of us are caught up with the 9 to 5 and slaving over paperwork and not and just getting run down and beat up and like you said, complaining about the economy, and that philosophy just changes the dynamics of everything. What do you love to do? What are your hobbies, and how can you just add a little bit of promotional thought to those activities? You talk about here, Kal, find a niche market and stick with it. What do you mean by this principle?
Well, it kind of ties into the combining work with play for me. My demographic, I'm 26. I go out, I'm around upper 20 to lower 40-year-olds that are young up-and-comers. A lot of these people have great jobs, salaried positions, and they've got their career started. They're out of college. Well, you know what? I came to find out that in my business, when it comes to mortgages, the banks weren't really focusing on these customers. As far as they're concerned, well, they're not going to buy a big house, or they might not buy a house for a while. It's only going to be a $200,000 mortgage. So when the banks advertise, they're advertising on the television channels where maybe upper business execs you may be watching, or advertising at golfing events where maybe there's a higher net worth, and we're talking about $800,000 mortgages or multiple homes. Well, I found from talking to my own demographic that there was no banker person that they could relate to. When they thought of a banker, they thought of the stereotypical guy in a suit, with his hair combed back and a briefcase, and they did not feel comfortable around that. So I focused all my efforts on my demographic, and I did different marketing that appealed to my demographic. Well, what did that do? That created me as the guy that they thought about most of the time when it came to any kind of financial business. And it was very successful for me in doing that. And I was focusing on a target market that wasn't focused on by other markets. So, don't be scared to go after that market. If you're in theater, well, maybe at different theater events or drama events, focus on that crowd. Do what you got to do to be known in that crowd. If you're into art, well, become a member of the of your local art museum. Of the you can usually become a member. They have different social events. Well, be that person in that crowd. You know what I mean? And focus on that crowd, and that will reap huge for you, because one crowd of people can be a lot of potential business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you were branded in this target market by like you said, socializing with people that you wanted to be associated with, but you took you had just a sense of bravery to go out and find this target audience. Kal, you talk about don't be scared to self-promote, and what do you mean by being fearless about this principle?
Okay, well, some people may think, and I used to think, that you may come across in a crowd as cocky if you talk about your business or talk about yourself. To a degree, that is correct. But find a way to bring up aspects of your business in that crowd so that they realize what you do and you're getting some kind of benefit. Again, you're generating or doing a revenue generating activity around your crowd of friends. For example, whatever your industry is, maybe think of some jokes within that industry and tell some jokes to your friends while you're hanging out with them in that industry, and kind of just touch bases how you're, in that industry, or just make it known what you do. You don't have to be cocky about it. Just make it known. Make sure that whenever you're in a room, everyone in that crowd knows what you do. Whether it's by wearing, maybe it'd be funny to wear a t-shirt that says, I'm that guy, I'm the mortgage guy, and just wear the t-shirt, but don't say anything. People will question you about the t-shirt, just little different things or innuendos that you can give to make sure that people know what you do. It's just going to help you out in the long run, and you're not going to come across as that cocky person.
I think you're right. I mean, people, me included, are just afraid about just revealing what it is that we do within our group of people, or even asking for a sale or asking to be referred. Kal, we're gonna bring you right back in our next segment and go over some other elements here you're bringing to the table. So don't go anywhere.
Great.